Griefers. I've been reading too much Reddit. Hey guys, I'm new to YouTube here, so please bear with me while I learn the ropes. I don't really know what the etiquette is in terms of using other people's content, so I figured I'd just quickly put it up front that the video we're watching is from this guy here, Crash TM. He's got some great PvP footage that you should probably go check out. Go ahead and subscribe. Now back to the video. The big question is there a griefing epidemic happening in Dune Awakening right now? I'm gonna like skew towards no, it's not an epidemic, but yes, it's definitely happening. It's quite obvious if you go look through Reddit, but there's a whole bunch of them that are obviously not true. There's a whole bunch of them that are like, they think griefing is something that it's not. There's a bunch of ones that sound very legit. I mean, look, in my experience, it's only happened to me once, and you know, like I was just farming a small down ship. It's like a miniature version of what we see on screen here. I'm just in the PvE zone, and as the worm sign is wiggling furiously on screen, he's trying to stop me from flying upward, so I guess so that I'd be eaten by the worm. He failed at that. He was pretty bad at it, but the whole time he's yelling into his microphone, "Go back to PvE! Go back to PvE, nerd!" or something like that. And I thought it was quite funny because actually I was in the PvE zone, you know? I'm in like row A or row B maybe. You know, so obviously he was bored and also stupid. He didn't know where he was, so you know, not very good at what he was trying to do. But you can't blame him, you know. Right now there ain't much to do in the deep desert right now. But anyway, more on that later. Okay, there is lots to do. Just once you do it all, what do you do next? Besides try to like engage in some PvP action. So, but look, I wanted to talk about, you know, what griefing is and maybe something about what we can do about it. We'll get to that, but let's talk about, you know, what actually is griefing. So I'm gonna read something here, and like, you know, I'm gonna make an attempt to make it sound authentic. Griefing is abusing the game mechanics to ruin innocent gamers' experience, who otherwise have no way to defend themselves from said griefing. For example, like in this video here, using collision mechanics to force a player to lose their thopter to "Shai Hulud, bless the maker and his passing." No? You know, in a PvE zone. This is happening in a PvE zone. Obviously, the guy can't fight back. It's just the mechanics are against you if you're in a ornithopter or a omnithopter, whatever, the carry-all. If this happens in a PvP zone, well, the argument can be argued that these guys are just very bad at doing their job. You know, griefing is basically an abuse of the mechanics to harass and abuse players that don't want any part of it. And, you know, it's also a colossal waste of time. It seems to be a colossal waste of time for both parties involved. Like the griefer as well is also not getting any benefit out of it. They're not looting, you know, they're not, I mean, it might maybe they're having fun, you know, they could be sociopathic principles involved there, I don't know, but doesn't seem very fun to me. Like, you know, I'd rather have a good competition, actually have players fight back and see who's got the skill mastery. Even if you lose, it's still fun, right? Maybe these guys are afraid of losing, or I don't know, but I think in this case, in the case of Dune Awakening specifically, I think what it is that there's a whole shitload of people who are excited to play the game, but there really isn't much to do at this point. So they're sort of like lounging around, loitering, okay, around the 7-Eleven and causing trouble at like midnight, you know, letting air out tires, or I don't know, toilet papering people's houses. Like, that's what this is. You know, this is what you get when you have a bunch of rats in a cage with nothing to do, okay? And I don't think the developers I don't think this is like, what a lot of people are saying is the vision for the game. Okay, it's not the vision for the game. Obviously, this is an oversight. The developers are probably, I mean, maybe not panicking, but at least they're like, oh shit, we forgot about assholes. Right? People are assholes. We forgot. I like to imagine that when you're developing a game, you're really trying to think of all the fun things that can be done. You're imagining all the fun things that your system will allow for. But I wanted to talk about what can we as players do to engage the game in a way to mitigate all this griefing. But first, I want you guys to hear this message from Matt Stone and Trey Parker.
We're dicks!
Yes, we are.
We're reckless, arrogant, stupid dicks!
He's talking about PvPers here.
And the Film Actors Guild are pussies.
I didn't say it. Those are PvEers.
And Kim Jong-il is an asshole.
He's talking about the griefers.
Pussies don't like dicks. Because pussies get fucked by dicks. But dicks also fuck assholes. Assholes who just want to shit on everything. Pussies may think they can deal with assholes their way. But the only thing that can fuck an asshole is a dick. With some balls.
He's got a pretty good point there. Okay. That's all. I just wanted to go over this really quickly. This is part of the solution, I promise. So, let's finally get to the public service announcement, okay? Please don't take offense to, that clip. It's all just really an allegory to what I'm trying to do here. Basically, it's rock, paper, scissors, You got the griefers, they don't want to mess with the PvPers, they just want easy targets. You got the PvPers, they want a challenge, and they can probably take on the griefers easily. And then you got the PvEers who, love it or hate it, they're going to be able to out-farm anybody else because that's what they spend their time doing more than anyone else. So they have something to offer as well. And this is kind of the point that I'm trying to make. Now, at the time that filming this, Funcom just made an announcement that, they're going to release a patch in August that will hopefully take care of the Thopter griefing, what we saw in those clips earlier. So, but look, this idea is still actually, I feel like a solid idea, and I think I've actually seen it being used and talked about in the community, but this concept is still a good one that I'm seeing prominent PvP crowds using to deal with open PvP in the DD. What I'm trying to say is, like, the PvPers should reach out to the PvPers and communicate and form like a lance rad of their own against griefers. And that's kind of what this clip is suggesting, like the pussies should be talking to the dicks to help stop the the assholes from shitting all over them, okay? That's the gist of it. You already know that. I don't have to explain it to you. But just for the sake of the comedy of it all. So look, this idea plays to the strengths of the PvE clans. They often love working together to overcome challenges that you cannot possibly do alone, such as endgame raid content. I know we're not there yet, they don't have any raids. And until that happens, until the developers create something for the PvE crowd to do, for now, griefers and PvP engagements are the endgame content in Dune Awakening. Regardless of it being the vision that the developers wanted or not, that's the case here. And it means it's a challenge that requires being social to overcome. And I know, look, we don't like to go out and touch grass, right? We want to stay home and play video games, but sometimes you got to go reach out and make friends. And this is a very healthy thing to do. Look, if the PvEers go, they get back to their roots and gang up against the griefers as if they are raid bosses, it's going to take more coordination than maybe you're used to, and you got to come out full force, get your whole guild out and actually communicate with the PvP guilds and form an alliance, ask for help, bargain, trade, barter for mercenary services, all those things. I'm hearing about that already being talked about on my servers, and it's kind of where this idea comes from, and I think I think it could be a lot of fun. If you lean into this idea, you might actually be truly embracing the vision of games like Dune Awakening, with the PvP end game. It requires communicating. If you're not good at it, you gotta talk to other people who are and make friends. Create an alliance with a PvP guild. Offer payments for services rendered. Remember, Dune Awakening is an MMO. That means a multiplayer. That means it's designed in such a fashion that communication between players may be imperative to your survival. So start doing it. It's part of the game, and it's going to be a requirement as you go forward. I mean, I know some people want to solo this, but a lot of this content is barely soloable, especially PvP stuff. Unless you're a PvP god, you're going to need to group up with players, form alliances, and that's where all the fun is. I know what you're going to say. You're going to be like, but Highsmith, they'll just laugh at us. All PvPers are the same. And to that I say, no, they're not. Most PvPers are intelligent enough to understand concepts like the vampire dilemma, where, if the vampire eats all the humans, there's not going to be enough humans left, and then they're just going to die off, right? You're gonna run into PvPers that, most of them are not griefers, okay? They just want to have a good time. So when they see somebody struggling in PvP, they're able to recognize that, and they're just gonna challenge you to have more fun and try to bring that fun out of you and try to make you feel more confident. I've run into so many people here. I'm kind of suck at PvP right now, and I've run into so many instances where I just after getting totally stomped on, I have a conversation with them, and they're offering to help me out with learning how to PvP, and it's just the more the merrier. I think the attitude is the more people get good at PvP, the better this game is going to turn out. So because of this principle, is such a unique culture that has developed among a lot of PvPers, especially in a game like Dune Awakening. PvP clans have adopted a roleplay light attitude. They're not role-playing, but they're going to treat you, honorably. You're not just going to get griefed. A lot of the times, when players get griefed, they're just like, well, fuck this shit, I ain't gonna play this game. And you need players to have PvP. So there's an understanding there, and I think PvPers, when approached by a PvE clan, will be more than happy to escort you, do a guardianship, do a protectorship run out on the spice fields, and protect you from any potential griefers, because they're looking for opportunities to make PvP fun. And something like that kind of interpersonal relationship and engagement is awesome. It is so much fun. So you should just give it a try. Instead of getting scared and not going into the DD, go into the DD, go prepared to have to communicate with other players and engage in the community. Hopefully your server's not dead. Maybe you can transfer servers. I don't know, that's some other topic. I'm rambling. Anyway, look, if you made it this far, I know I'm kind of all over the place with this, but if you've gotten this far, I consider you a friend. That's pretty awesome. I really appreciate you. Before I go, I'm just gonna, I have one thing that I would suggest to Funcom. If they can introduce tools to help foster this kind of end game engagement in between players, more so in between guilds. So like a guild to guild trade pact that help guilds form bonds and rivalries. PvE clans get griefed by a group of people. Well, imagine if a PvP clan upgrades their Spice for Schematics trade agreement to a Spice for Kills trade pact, or a Spice for Protectorship trade pact, and it can be done, I'm pretty sure. Maybe they already have that kind of thing in mind. With a third faction coming into play, maybe there's something there. Anyways, thanks for watching.